Okay, now it's telling me I got a combo for plowing my car into a bunch of zombies. That's not what a combo is. Welcome to Random Game Reviews. I put every game in the PlayStation Store into a spreadsheet, and a random number generator tells me which one I have to review. This mostly causes me suffering, so if you think great art can only come from pain, hit that subscribe button. This week, the random number generator has decided that I will play Zombie Driver. A pesky chemical spill has turned everyone into angry, shambling zombies, and it's up to you to kill those zombies. Your qualifications? You are apparently the only person who stayed in their car, which is why it falls to you to kick ass and save lives. Even though you're working alongside the military, who has military equipment. But don't waste time thinking. There's zombies to kill. Zombie Driver sounds like the kind of game that should be awesome. Zombies and driving are both great on their own, so jam those two things together and you should have a hit on your hands. And Zombie Driver is fun, for about 5 minutes. Before I get into why that is, let's do a quick overview of the game. The meat of the game is in story mode, which has a story in only the loosest possible sense. This mode will have you complete various objectives, most of which are to pick up civilians or destroy a thing. To do either, you will have to hydroplane through a sea of viscera to reach the objective, which can't be completed until you have vehicularly manslaughtered every zombie in the vicinity. Your main weapon is your car, but you can slap some weapons on your weapon, like a machine gun, flamethrower, or rockets. There's also nitro boost to help you power through larger zombie congregations. Health packs, weapons, nitro, and loose wads of cash can be found strewn about the level, and you can upgrade your vehicle at your local military base using the allowance you've been given for running motherfuckers over. Like any zombie game, the zombies come in a variety of flavors. Zombie classic, zombie that throws things at you, super fat zombie that explodes for some reason, and dog zombie. And that one I don't get. What's a dog going to do to a car? Cars are the apex predator in that relationship. So back to what I was saying before.
And Zombie Driver is fun for about 5 minutes.
How does a game with such a seemingly winning formula completely miss the mark? Let's explore the 3 main issues. Issue number 1. The zombies. There is no tension in this game. The mark of a good zombie game is the knowledge that if you make a bad move, you can quickly get overwhelmed and be torn limb from screaming limb. In Zombie Driver, the zombies amount to not much more hassle to you in your car than roving gangs of squirrels. Your car cuts through most zombies like butter. There's just no resistance. And it's not even satisfying when you hit them, they just kind of pop like Ziploc bags filled with blood. The bigger zombies or really large hordes will hinder you a bit, but if you apply a bit of nitro or a hellish inferno, there's not a whole lot that's going to slow you down. The key to the game is always be moving. Your run-of-the-mill zombies don't damage your car unless you're stopped, and they can thrash it with their rotting fists. So as long as you're moving, you're not in much danger. It's actually more difficult than expected to take damage in this game. Plowing into walls or buildings at full speed will leave your vehicle completely unharmed, which is actually a blessing when you consider issue number 2, the driving. Despite being a game with the word driver in the title, the controls in Zombie Driver are not at all satisfying. There's a looseness to the movements of your vehicle that only makes sense if the car was made out of balsa wood. Your vehicle just feels too light. There are some slower vehicles you get later on that feel like they have a bit more heft to them, but if you want your driving game to be good, your starter vehicle shouldn't handle like you're driving on ice. But let's say the driving mechanics were top-notch. You still have to deal with the realities of car combat. Because you can only shoot directly forward and enemies are on all sides, combat boils down to plowing through a crowd, turning around, driving back through that crowd, over and over again forever, like a cursed Roomba. Or, in the case of fighting an immobile boss monster, approach and park your car while shooting as many bullets as you can, reverse to avoid projectiles, put it back in drive, nudge forward, and shoot as many bullets as you can before reversing again. Thrilling. Zombie Driver also comes packaged with a racing mode to test your abilities in this game's approximation of driving. Your standard race pits you against 3 CPUs who can all shoot your bumper if you're in first place, so being in the lead for a lot of the race is ill-advised. Elimination Race is not so much a race since your objective is to destroy other vehicles, so just tailgate your adversaries and give them a friendly how do you do with your car-mounted missile array. Endurance Race is probably the best race mode since it's just you against a timer trying to clear checkpoints, but still the word best is relative. Issue number 3. The camera. I have a pretty strong stomach, and I can't think of a game that has ever made me feel motion sick before Zombie Driver. The camera will always correct to the direction your car is facing, but on a slight delay. So if you spin your whip around, a second later the camera will undergo a nauseating spin to compensate. As mentioned before, you spend a lot of time in this game turning around, so this is a very common occurrence. Especially in this one game mode called Slaughter, where the objective is to just wreck as many zombies as you can before you yourself get wrecked. The arena for this mode is a circular track with an open area in the middle, so you're essentially just going in circles for the duration, which given the camera issues is unpleasant. Zombie Driver does give you a couple other camera options to choose from. Static keeps the camera fixed to the direction your car is facing as you turn, but this doesn't make it any less dizzying, it turns out. Retro camera mimics the style of the original Grand Theft Auto games, and I would argue this is the best camera mode. But it can't seem to adequately keep your vehicle in the center of the screen, which makes it hard to maneuver. Setting the camera to retro mode made me realize what had been subconsciously bugging me about this game. Zombie Driver feels less like a console or PC game than it does an internet flash game from the early 2000s. Anyone who was interneting at that time probably played dozens of games just like this. Rudimentary driving mechanics paired with excess blood and mayhem. The tone and general style of this game even evokes that flash game feeling. It may not look like a flash game with its pretty good graphics, but it sure feels like one in every other way. In that context, Zombie Driver makes a lot more sense, especially since it originally released in the very tail end of that era. And if that was the context in which we were judging this game, it would be great. But it's not a flash game. It's a game available for console that I had to pay $20 for in order to do this review. It's time again to answer the question, would I play this game if I were not destined to do so? For Zombie Driver, the answer is no. Zombie Driver is upsetting because it feels like it should have been awesome, but it breaks the major rules of both the zombie and driving genres. It has serviceable graphics, but no gameplay hook. And it's the only game to ever give me motion sickness. That's it for this episode. Thanks for riding with me. Join me next time when I inevitably have to play something stupid on Random Game Reviews.